Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Oh, welcome back to part 2 of Azumah Nelson versus Salvador Sanchez. In the last part, we finished off with round 7, and I mentioned that was a turning point in this fight. But there are still some things that happen that I want to talk about. Particularly, this was a game-changing left hook. And I mentioned that... Oh, that was beautiful. I mentioned that Azumah Nelson got caught with this hook in the prior rounds, in the round right before this especially. However, he did not do anything to adjust, and that could be due to inexperience or just hard-headedness or just pure toughness. But what I want to mention is when you get hit with the shot, even though it doesn't hurt you like the hook hurt Nelson in the 7th round, you still have to respect it. If you get caught with it, put your hands up and try to not allow your opponent to catch you with that same punch again, because the next time you get hit with it, it could end like that. And there goes that. This is a copy of the 7th round, basically. The opening bell of the 7th round, we see it in the 8th. Azumah Nelson walking up. And when Azumah Nelson goes for the hook, he drops his right hand. And that's what Sanchez was waiting for. Bang. Gets caught with it again. Azumah Nelson had a great chin, but Sanchez had a great punch. Now I mentioned this a few times in the first part, which is when Azumah Nelson backs up after he gets hit here. Earlier was when he just moves out. He does this little bop, and Sanchez has a better chance now of moving in behind a double jab to catch him while he's off balance, but he doesn't. I guess he just didn't need to. Azumah's legs are more stiff now. Even though he hasn't went down, you can see how he's walking. He's a lot more stiff. That's hard to bring back it's hard to bring back the bounce in your legs after you've been hit with that hook. What was it? Cleanly, maybe 4 times by now. Twice in the 1st, twice in the 7th, twice in the 8th. And you can see Azumah Nelson, the way he's walking with a limp almost. Or not a limp, but his legs are a lot more stiff than they were in the beginning. I think Sanchez is waiting for Azumah to start off punch first so he can counter him again. Sanchez knows that he can't just attack Azumah, as Azumah has a tough chin and is dangerous. Now we see something that Sanchez did before. Beautiful punching the jab hand of Azumah Nelson. Okay, I talked about why he could have thrown this punch before. Sorry for the outside noise. Okay, so he punched the left hand of Azumah Nelson before. I talked about him just punching it to not let Azumah punch with it, to get out of bad space, and for other reasons. So I guess Sanchez found out that he shouldn't always punch first. Like there he got countered. He should let Azumah do the punching first because Azumah leaves himself open. Let's see if he drops his hand with that hook again. So I'm guessing he wants to do the countering instead of letting Azumah counter. And this is what Azumah does with his right hand when he throws the hook. And this is why Sanchez was able to catch him with that left hook. Okay, this time Sanchez wasn't in a place to counter, but that's the reason he caught Azumah with the left hook. Rookie mistake by Azumah. goes that left hook again. You can see Azumah just swinging that left hook. When you have a chin like Azumah, I guess you could just walk in. And there, Sanchez almost took advantage of Azumah doing that little shuffle he does. There's another right hand. So a mistake like Azumah Nelson made that got him caught, which is dropping the hand when he throws the hook. That's something that you can't really change in a fight if you've been practicing and dropping your hand so many times throughout your career prior to this fight. It's a hard habit to get rid of because you don't know you're doing it, maybe because you've never been caught, no one's countered you, and your coach has never said something, or if they did, you just neglected it. So that's something that's very hard to change in a fight, especially when you only have 13 fights, and that could be the reason that Azumah didn't adjust. But we can see the separation between brilliancy of Sanchez adjusting and recognizing the fault that Nelson is making. Nelson is coming off the stool way too early. You could see Sanchez taking his sweet time, using up all those seconds to recover. And in a 15-round fight, each second is valuable. There goes that left hook again. And Azumah gets caught with his left foot comes up after he gets caught. So Sanchez found the punch that works, and now he's just finding it over and over again. Every fighter has a different punch that annoys them. Sometimes the overhand right annoys a fighter. Sometimes it's the hook. Sometimes it's the uppercut. Sometimes it's the body punch. That's your job to find out what punch affects your opponent the most. Whether it's film study before the fight or during the fight like Sanchez has done here. But you can be hitting someone with the right hand all night long and nothing happens to them, and you might think, well, I don't have any power. Then you catch them to the body with the left shot, and then they go down. So before you go as hard as you can with one punch, try out all punches, see which one's working or affects your opponent the most, and then try to use that. Now, I did say the 7th round was a turning point. Sanchez wins those rounds after. There's a nice left hook here. But Azumah Nelson is going to land something nice. I don't know if it's in this round. Between this round and the 14th round, he does land a nice combination that actually staggers Sanchez for a second. And you could just see that left hook landing over and over again for Sanchez. And the pace of Azumah Nelson has slowed down by a substantial amount. In the first part of the fight, we saw Sanchez starting off the combinations all the time and getting countered. And now, like I said, he's punching first sometimes, but mostly letting Azumah Nelson start off with the big punches and then him countering him and timing him. That's it for round 9. Azumah Nelson went to the wrong corner a few times. And like I mentioned, this was the fight that made Azumah Nelson the man who he was after the fame and the champion. I mean, when you put up a fight like this against an all-time great, it's you're destined to. It's a huge indicator of what you're going to become. Imagine just 13 fights. Imagine someone fighting a top fighter today with just 13 fights and giving them the type of fight that Azumah Nelson gave Sanchez. Now, if Azumah Nelson was any weaker, he would have been knocked out by now from those left hooks. We'll see another one. If he had a worse chin, but his chin allowed him to take those punches and keep on fighting. Nice right body shot. Nice right to the body. But I could just see the stiffness in Azumah's legs versus the relaxation and the bounce that Sanchez still has in his. There he goes again, jabbing the left hand. That was a nice left to the body by Sanchez. Sanchez taking a walk again. Moving. With a guy like Azumah Nelson that needs to come at you kind of forward, he has more trouble when you spin him. As a lot of aggressive fighters, because they have to put so much power and intention at hitting you, they can't turn and hit as quickly. They got to set up a little bit longer than if they were throwing less powerful punches. So what I think Sanchez is doing here is he's jabbing, he's moving Azumah, he's moving Nelson, sometimes to the left, sometimes to the right. Sanchez is moving, not moving in the same direction. You see that Sanchez was looking for that left hook right there. Now, I believe Azumah's skills did get better as he went on with his career, of course. When 13 fights is not a very long time to develop great skills, especially where he was fighting in Ghana, I think. So maybe after he started fighting these big names, he started developing, because he looked a lot more technically sound in his later fights, but he's very raw here with his intent power shots and swinging at Sanchez. Right, he kept that come forward style throughout his whole career. He never really changed up Azumah. I don't like how his trainer is grabbing him and throwing him onto the stool. It looks like he's hurt. Nelson's coach, but you could see the relaxation. In Sanchez's face. A boxer, you want to be like a pilot. No matter how the fight's going or the flight, you want to stay calm and relaxed. That's the only thing that could help you come out of the situation, the bad situation you're in. If you freak out or show any what's that word I'm looking If you just looked unsure of yourself, it only worsens the outcome. You want to look confident, relaxed for the judges also. Something that also comes with experience. Just being calm, relaxed, no matter how the fight goes, just stay relaxed. Don't get too happy or too excited when you land a good punch, and don't get too sad or too down when you get caught with a good punch. But you could see the difference in pace in the later half of the fight versus the beginning. This is the pace that Sanchez wants, and that's what a great champion does. He can make the fight go on their pace instead of fighting their opponent's pace. In the first half of the fight, Sanchez was fighting Azumah Nelson's pace. No, it's a more relaxing pace, more walking around, able to time and see more. Is that a jab at the glove again? Is that a jab at the glove again? Is that another jab at the glove? Oh, there's a nice left hook from Azumah. There's another good left hook. Was this what I was talking about? I think it is. Was it? No, it's not. Swinging punches from Nelson. Nice work from Sanchez. And like I said, someone other than Azumah Nelson would have been knocked out by now. He wouldn't have been throwing these type of power shots, and consistently coming forward. See, I don't like how his coach right there, if you saw Azumah's coach, Azumah Nelson's, I guess he was kind of mad at Azumah for taking too long to get to the stool or something. By just literally grabbing him and throwing him off. I don't like that. It just shows the judges, it's a bad look for fans and judges. Not that big of a deal, but not the best looking move. Like I said, Sanchez always looks calm, concentrated. Sanchez always did that little dance with his hands when he was just waiting on the opponent. See that left hook still has steam on it. Still in the, what is this, the 12th round? And he's been hurt, and it's the 12th round, and Azumah's still throwing that left hook with mean intentions. Without wide stance from Azumah Nelson. A little bit of nice head movement from Sanchez. Nice double jab. Like I said, this pace is exactly how Sanchez wants it. Not any faster, not any slower. Sanchez already did all his studying. Now that the fight's a little bit slower, he could see stuff coming now, but he's not really studying. That's a left hook. When the fight slows down a little bit, he can kind of start seeing a lot more. Azumah Nelson is still punching with power, but he's really slowed down since the first half of the fight, which is natural, but he's still dangerous. So you don't see Sanchez going after him. Nice left to the body from Sanchez. Nice left. Nice right. Nice right again. It's a big wet spot on the ring. If you see in the left top corner, Sanchez's corner. Nice left hook by Azumah Nelson. Not sure what's happening right now, but we'll stay tuned. Nelson versus Cortez. What is that? The fight coming up next? I don't know. Okay, now we go back to the fight. Some performance is truly incredible. It could have been a huge upset if Nelson won. Could have been like the Anthony Joshua versus Ruiz fight. It's always when a champion like Sanchez or like a champion has their opponent has a good fight against them. It's always a last minute replacement. And a lot of times it's the last minute replacement. Sometimes it's not a lot of times. Sometimes it's someone that not a lot of people have heard of and not a lot of people know about, and that's what makes it dangerous. And the reason they gotta choose a fighter, because if it's in a big stage like Madison Square Garden, they can't just put a bum in front of Sanchez because people won't be excited. So they have to find someone that's competitive. Like the Joshua versus Ruiz fight, but they put in the wrong fighter against Joshua. Should not have put him against Ruiz. But yeah, there's been countless fighters where the champion fights an unknown last minute replacement, and then it really throws them off. But good champions, great champions are always ready for anybody. Nice movement by Sanchez. Is this the moment he gets hurt? There's a moment where his legs buckle a little bit, Sanchez. I don't know how Azumah Nelson is still coming forward like this. It's his 13th round. He's been hit. He's thrown a lot of punches, and he's still. I hate fighting guys or sparring guys like this that just always come forward. They don't break. There's that left hook. There's that left hook again. From Nelson, of course. There's that left uppercut. The other thing about fighting someone that's unknown, it's not just their style that's unknown, but it's unknown their heart. So if someone has a weaker heart than Azumah Nelson, and if Azumah Nelson had a weaker heart and Sanchez would have, there would have been fight footage of him, Sanchez would have known that, so he would have known that eventually he could break him. If he knew he had a strong heart like he actually did, Sanchez would have been able to be mentally ready to be in a hard fight. But when you don't know the guy and then he shows up like Azumah Nelson with the crazy heart, power, and relentlessness, it's harder because you haven't trained yourself for it. You should always expect a hard fight. There's another left hook, but it's easier said than done. When you get a guy that doesn't stop coming, you're not mentally, you haven't trained training camp for it. It's hard to just adjust that on the fly. So not only is the skill of the opponent hard to difficult if you don't know much about them to understand their skill or their openings, like Sanchez found with the left hook, but it's the heart of the opponent and the relentlessness that makes, if you don't know what they're made of, it's hard to know, it's hard to in the fight to adjust. Because you might be training someone that you might know that you're gonna break around round eight because you've seen them break in prior fights, and then you fight someone that you hit with good punches for a few rounds and they're still not going anywhere. So you gotta mentally strengthen yourself in the fight when you haven't trained for it. So that's why you always want to expect the toughest fight possible. But when a fighter gets good and they have some fights that aren't as hard, it's hard to still believe that every fight that you fight's gonna be hard. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I hope so. So you always have to expect the best worst case scenario. Always expect your opponent to have the best chin in the world, the fastest hands in the world, the most powerful punch in the world, so you build respect for them and you're always mentally ready to go the distance in a tough fight. Nice jabs from Sanchez. Look at that swinging left hook still. We're in round 13 or 14 now. How does that guy keep coming forward after taking so much punishment and throwing so many punches? That's why records or experience is never a true tell sign of what an opponent or a boxer is truly made of or can accomplish. It's just a number. Numbers are indicative of greatness, but sometimes numbers can be deceiving. Because Sanchez could have fought someone with 40 fights that had less heart than Azumah Nelson and less stamina. Azumah with with more stamina and more resistance to punches than a lot of other fighters with a lot more experience. So it's always a case by case. Its numbers are not always accurate. Oh, we're in round 14. It's really amazing how he's still able to keep punching. Now, I remember that Sanchez got hurt a little bit. I don't like what the coach of Azumah Nelson is doing. But I haven't seen it again in the second time I've watched this fight, so I guess I was just imagining. Now the 15th round is the stoppage round for Salvador Sanchez, and we'll see that he uses that left hook that Azumah Nelson still hasn't fixed. When he throws a left hook, he drops his hand. He ain't fix it, and we'll see what happens. August 8th, live from... August 18th, not 8th, sorry. Always take up your time to relax and recuperate. Don't stand up off the stool too early. I don't even know if Azumah Nelson went 15 rounds before this fight, because he had 13 fights and I think 10 knockouts. So, like, he might have went 15 rounds, but I'm not sure. Like, how does he have that power and speed still to go like this in the 15th? That was a nice right hand, 1-2. Nice combination. Nice left hook. Oh, here we see it. So the same thing happens again. He goes to throw the left hook. He gets caught with the left hook because he drops his right hand. Perfect timing by Sanchez. Whoa. And it still doesn't go down. Oh, he went down now. Gets right back up, ready to fight again. And the fight is over. Like I mentioned at the end of the first part, this fight was less technically a technical study. It was more of the commentary on the fight. It was a very surprising fight. I'm pretty sure at the time it was even more surprising because no one's ever heard of someone like Azumah Nelson doing this. 15 rounds, 13-0, 13 fights, 15 rounds he goes, gives all he has, power, speed, coming forward from the first round to the last round, threw a crazy number of punches, landed great punches, and against one of who people say is the all-time great boxer of all time. So it's a very important fight in boxing history, and you could learn from it. From Azumah Nelson's side is that he didn't fix his mistake in the fight. Now it's easy after a fight to look at tape and think over what you did wrong. what champions can do, and I mentioned this a lot with Sugar Ray Leonard. Here you could see Sanchez do it, Tommy Hearns, and a lot of other fighters, is they can find their mistakes early on, right when they happen, they could fix them so they can move on and do something else. If you don't fix that mistake, it just comes back to haunt you like it did Azumah Nelson in the last round. So not very technical breakdown about footwork, hand position, and stuff like that, but I just wanted to make a video on this fight for my, for the history and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with some more fights. If you have any recommendations, please let me know, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.